Initiation into Hermetics, a practice of magic, by Franz Barden. Step 5. The wise Archimedes once said, "Show me one point in the universe, and I shall lift the globe off its hinges." Very few people will probably know that this sentence is concealing a great occult mystery, namely the secret of the fourth dimension. As we all remember from our school days, everything is having a shape: a stone, a plant, animal, man. In the short, everybody owns length, width, and height. Definitions familiar to us. If in the middle of a form, for example, a spherical form, we imagine a double crossing, on the crossing spot we get a point, the so-called depth point. And Archimedes certainly did have this point in mind, because it is actually the point of beginning, the starting point, the nucleus of every form. Regarding from this point, every form is symmetrically objective. That means it happens to be in its true equilibrium. This is the base of the mystery of the fourth dimension, hence the concept of time and space, of timelessness and spacelessness, and therefore also the secret of space magic. The scholar is advised to meditate very intensively about this problem, and he will be able to open up profundities he never dreamed of, and high intuition will be his reward. In association with the magical mental training of the fifth step, we shall speak about the space magic. Magic mental training 5. With all the previous exercises, the scholar has achieved a certain capacity of concentration, and he has learned to transform his consciousness at will or to adjust it to any form, and he will be capable to see further and deeper. The instructions of the fifth step shall show us how to transplant the consciousness into the center of any form, beginning with the tiniest atom to the highest universe. In this manner, the scholar does not only learn to understand and interpret every form from its center, he will also be taught to master it from the center. Excuse me. The faculties acquired by means of the following exercises are of a very rare importance for the magic, because in this manner only the mental balance can be established at any time. This mental balance is the specific fundamental property of the Akasha, or causal principle of the mind. Let us therefore turn immediately to the practical exercises. Take up your customary position. Now put some larger objects in front of you, perhaps a solid ball, a die, a cube, etc. It will be profitable to select first objects with full contents. Do not fix your eyes for a short time on one of these objects. Close your eyes and transfer your consciousness to the depth point. That is to the center. Imagine yourself being and feeling right in the center of the object. The transplantation of your consciousness has to be so close that you forget your body entirely. This exercise is very difficult indeed, but practice will make perfect. Nobody should be scared away by failures in the beginning, but keeping on working diligently. Man being accustomed to 3 dimensions only, some difficulties will occur at first, but they will diminish from one exercise to the other. And gradually one gets accustomed to concentrate on being in the depth point of any object. Excuse me. If you have been successful to stay for at least 5 minutes with your consciousness in the center of of the object you chose, you may go on to the next object. After achieving the same good result, select different objects for exercising, but this time unsymmetrical ones. Each time you must go so far that you transfer your consciousness into the center of any object and feel yourself as small as a poppy seed, even as an atom. If you can manage this without any disturbance, go ahead to the next exercise, seizing the dimension and shape of the object from your depth point. The smaller you feel yourself and the more your consciousness is shrinking, all the bigger the circumference or the width of the object will appear to you. From your point of view, the selected object represents a whole universe, and you must hold on to this feeling as long as possible. Once you have managed this exercise, free from disturbances, with a symmetrical object as well as with an unsymmetrical one, you can turn to another object. You may believe this exercise well performed if you can book the same good success with any object whichever. After numerous exercises of the depth point transference, you will attain the capacity to look through any object, and you will intuitively recognize the material as well as the mental structure of such an object. At the same time, you will obtain the faculty to influence every object from the nucleus, to load it magically at will, and thus to impregnate the mental sphere of every object with your desire. We have learned in the fourth step to master this problem through the accumulation of vital power from outwards to inwards, and this step will teach us to do the same, but in a manner far more impressive, from inwards to outwards. A magician has to obtain the same effect with animals and human beings. He must also manage it with objects which are not directly before his eyes. Consciousness knows of no bounds at all, therefore he can practice transference to the furthest distance. As soon as the scholar has reached this point, he can start on transferring consciousness into the fourth dimension of his own body, the microcosm. That means into the Akasha principle of his own being. The practice is as follows. You are sitting quietly in your familiar position with your eyes closed. Transfer your consciousness exactly into the middle of your body. I mean the pit of your stomach, the solar plexus. You must feel yourself as a mere dot, as an atom in the center, between the outer spine and the frontal pit of the stomach. Excuse me. This center is the lowest point of your body. Try to stay there with your consciousness at least for 5 minutes. You must use an alarm clock to check the time. Regard your body from this point. The more diminutive you imagine yourself, the bigger you will perceive the circumference of your body, which will appear to you as a big universe. At this point, meditate as follows. I am the center of my body. I am the determining power therein. Difficulties in the beginning should not discourage the scholar. Even if he does not manage it at first for a few seconds only, by constant exercises, the seconds will become minutes. The limit for staying in this depth point is 5 minutes. Working through this step, the scholar should be able to transfer himself at any hour and in every situation into this depth point. That means into the Akasha principle. From there, perceiving and influencing all that concerns his being. Thus, consciousness transference into the own Akasha principle is the genuine magical state of trance and represents the preliminary stage of the connection with the cosmic consciousness. I shall describe the practice relating to this linking up to the cosmic consciousness in a further chapter. The magical trance should not be mixed up with the state produced by spiritualistic mediums, provided we have to do with genuine psychical phenomena and mediums of integrity. Mostly a lot of mischief is done in this line to mislead credulous people. The real spiritualistic mediums bring about their trance with the help of a prayer, a hymn, or some other meditation, or conversely through a sort of passivity, in brackets emptiness, of the mind, conjuring up by this a spontaneous displacement, in brackets shifting, of the consciousness. In this state, it is possible for elementals, deceased people, and certain low beings to induce the astral body together with the material body to manifestations and other undertakings. Such experiments are to be regarded as a sort of obsession from the Hermetic point of view, even then, if the beings in question should be good ones. The true magician naturally does not doubt the performance of such experiments, if they are to be taken very seriously, but he will feel very sorry indeed about these mediums. For the magician himself can consciously form connections with beings in quite a different way, being fully aware of what he is doing. Particulars will be given in a special chapter.